Min stood in the center of the grand hall, surrounded by beings that made him feel very small. The ceiling stretched so high above him that he could barely see it. Massive pillars lined the walls, each one carved with images of ancient battles. Every surface seemed to glow with soft blue and purple light. The light came from the Veltharn people themselves. Their skin pulsed with bioluminescence, creating patterns that shifted and changed. Min had learned that these patterns showed their emotions, though he still struggled to read them properly. Right now, most of the patterns looked sharp and angular. He suspected that meant displeasure. Hundreds of Veltharn filled the hall, all of them watching him. They were tall, most of them standing at least 2 heads higher than Min. Each one had 4 arms, and their bodies were covered in what looked like natural armor plating. They wore elaborate clothing that seemed designed to show off their physical power rather than hide it. Min wore his best formal suit, the one Earth's diplomatic corps had given him for this exact purpose. It felt inadequate. Everything about this moment felt inadequate. The human looked so fragile, someone whispered in the Veltharn language. Min had spent 6 months learning it, preparing for this day. Like it might break if we breathe too hard. Other voices murmured agreement. Min kept his face neutral and his eyes forward. He had been trained for this. Earth needed this alliance. The Galactic Concordat controlled most of known space, and humanity had only just made contact with them 3 years ago. This marriage would secure Earth's entry into their political structure. It would also prevent them from seeing human expansion as a threat. The massive doors at the far end of the hall opened. Everyone fell silent. Min's heart beat faster despite his training. He had only seen pictures of her before. HFY entered the hall like a storm contained in physical form. She was tall even by Veltharn standards, her skin glowing with deep crimson and gold patterns that moved across her body like living fire. She wore armor rather than ceremonial robes, though the armor had been polished until it shone like a mirror. Her 4 arms moved with perfect coordination, each step precise and controlled. Her face showed no expression at all. The bioluminescent patterns on her skin, however, pulsed with what Min had learned meant cold anger. She walked down the center aisle without looking at him. Her father, War Commander Dalshik, walked beside her. He was even larger than his daughter, covered in scars that his people considered marks of honor. His skin glowed with dark purple patterns edged in white. They stopped in front of Min. Dalshik looked down at him the way someone might look at an insect they were deciding whether to crush. "This is the human," Dalshik said, his voice deep and resonant. He spoke in the common galactic language rather than Veltharn, probably for Min's benefit. "This small, soft creature is what Earth offers to secure their place among civilized species." Min met his gaze without flinching. He had practiced this too. Show respect but not weakness, never weakness. "I am Min of Earth," he said clearly. "I come in peace and hope for unity between our peoples." Dalshik's patterns flickered with what might have been amusement. "Pretty words. Let us see if you can stand through the ceremony without fainting." The ritual itself was long and complex. Min had memorized every step, every word he needed to speak. The Veltharn believed marriage was a bond of duty and honor, a merging of family lines for political and military advantage. Love was not part of the equation. That at least made things simpler. HFY spoke her vows in a flat, emotionless voice. Her patterns remained angry crimson and gold throughout. When it came time to join hands, she gripped his single hand with 2 of hers. Her skin was warm, almost hot. The pressure was just short of painful. Min spoke his own vows steadily. He meant them in his own way. He would honor this bond. He would do his duty to both Earth and to her, whether she wanted it or not. When the ceremony ended, there was no celebration in the crowd's response, just a formal acknowledgement. Dalshik announced that the union was complete, that Earth was now bound to the Veltharn through marriage law, and that the Concordat would recognize humanity's petition for membership. Mission accomplished, T-Min thought bitterly. The feast afterward was worse than the ceremony. T-Min sat at the high table next to HFY. She did not speak to him. She did not even look at him. She ate her food and spoke with the warriors on her other side, laughing at jokes T-Min could not quite hear. Dalshik stood at one point and made a speech about the strength of the Veltharn people and their generosity in accepting lesser species into their fold. Several others made similar speeches. No one mentioned T-Min by name. "Does the human even eat real food?" someone called from the crowd. "Or does it need milk like a newborn calf?" Laughter rippled through the hall. HFY's patterns flickered, but she said nothing, did not defend him, did not even acknowledge the insult. T-Min ate his food and kept his dignity. He had known this would not be easy. Later, much later, servants showed him to his quarters. They were beautiful rooms, larger than his entire apartment back on Earth had been, but they were separate from HFY's chambers, connected by a door that remained locked. He stood at the window, looking out over the Veltharn capital city. Towers of crystal and metal stretched toward the sky, all of them glowing with bioluminescent light. Vehicles flew through the air in organized patterns. It was beautiful and alien and completely overwhelming. T-Min had given up his entire life for this. His home, his career, any chance at a normal future. He had done it willingly because Earth needed someone to make this sacrifice. They had chosen him because he was calm under pressure, because he tested well for adaptability, because he had no close family to leave behind. He wondered if they had chosen him, because they knew how much humiliation he could endure. Through the locked door, he could hear movement in HFY's chambers. He wondered what she was thinking, if she hated him, or if he was so beneath her notice that hate would be too much effort. Tomorrow they would begin their life together, separate but bound, strangers forced into proximity by political necessity. T-Min touched his hand where HFY had gripped it during the ceremony. He could still feel the heat of her skin, the controlled strength in her fingers. He had made a promise today, to her, to Earth, to himself. He would honor it no matter how cold the reception. He would find a way to make this work, even if it killed him. 3 months passed in careful, quiet isolation. T-Min learned the patterns of palace life. He woke early, before most of the Veltharn stirred. He ate breakfast alone in his chambers. He spent his days in the palace library, learning everything he could about Veltharn history and culture. He took his evening meals in his room as well. He rarely saw HFY. When their paths crossed in the corridors, she walked past him as if he were invisible. Her patterns always shifted to cold blues and grays when he was near. The palace staff treated him with distant politeness, nothing more. T-Min told himself this was fine. He had not expected love. He had barely expected courtesy. The training grounds were visible from his window. He often stood there in the mornings, watching Veltharn warriors practice their combat arts. They moved with incredible speed despite their size, all 4 arms working in perfect coordination. They wielded weapons that looked far too heavy for their design, spinning and striking with force that cracked the reinforced practice posts. HFY trained with them every morning. She was magnificent to watch, even from a distance. Her movements were sharper than the others, more precise. She fought like violence given purpose and direction. T-Min was forbidden from the training grounds. Dalshik had made that clear during his one and only conversation with T-Min after the wedding. Warriors trained there. You would only be in the way. So T-Min watched from his window and tried not to feel useless. The state dinner happened on a night when twin moons hung full in the sky. T-Min had been ordered to attend, not invited, ordered. He wore his formal clothing again and arrived exactly on time. The dining hall was smaller than the ceremonial space where they had married, but still vast by human standards. Long tables formed a square, with the royal family seated at the head. Min was placed next to HFY, as was apparently required by custom. She acknowledged him with the barest nod. Her patterns were their usual cold blue. The dinner guests were high-ranking members of the Veltharn military and several ambassadors from other Concordat species. They spoke of battles and territorial disputes and trade negotiations. Min listened and said nothing. He had learned that silence was safer than speaking. Until Lord Quan Ho decided otherwise. Quan Ho was a decorated war hero, his body covered in scars that glowed with proud silver patterns. He had been drinking heavily, and his patterns had shifted to the bright, aggressive orange that meant confrontation. "Tell me, human," Quan Ho said loudly, cutting through several other conversations. "How does your kind survive? Your world has such weak gravity. Your bodies must be like jelly." Several people laughed. Min felt HFY stiffen slightly beside him, but she did not speak. "Earth's gravity is within normal range for habitable worlds," Min said carefully. "Normal for prey species perhaps," Quan Ho continued. "I have read the reports. Your world is soft, comfortable. You have no natural armor, no weapons, no real physical strength. How did you ever develop past the animal stage?" More laughter. Min kept his breathing steady. "We adapted differently than the Veltharn, but we survived." "Survived by hiding, I imagine," Quan Ho said, "burrowing underground like worms." "We classify Earth as a death world," Min said quietly. The laughter stopped. The term meant nothing to them, but the seriousness in his voice caught attention. "Our evolution was difficult." "Difficult?" Quan Ho repeated mockingly. "What, did it rain too often? Were the flowers too pretty and distracting?" Min said nothing. He had learned not to argue. These people would believe what they wanted to believe. The dinner continued. Min ate mechanically, not tasting anything. He felt HFY's occasional glances but did not meet her eyes. After the dinner ended, Min walked the palace gardens. He needed air, needed space away from the constant judgment. The gardens were beautiful at night, filled with plants that glowed in the darkness. He found a quiet bench near a fountain and sat. "You are the human." Min looked up. A young Veltharn male stood nearby, his patterns showing curious green and white. He was smaller than most Veltharn, though still taller than Min. His face had a similarity to HFY's features. "I am Min," he said. "I know I am Jaiwu, HFY's brother." Jaiwu sat down on the bench without asking permission. "You handled Quan Ho well. He is an idiot when he drinks." "I have endured worse," Min said honestly. "What did you mean about a death world?" Jaiwu asked. "I have never heard that term." Min hesitated. "It is a classification humans use. Worlds where survival requires extreme adaptation. High gravity, dangerous predators, unstable climate, disease. Earth has all of these." Jaiwu's patterns flickered with interest. "How high is your gravity?" 1.0 standard G, about 40% higher than your homeworld. Jaiwu's patterns pulsed with surprise. "That is impossible. You are so small, you would be crushed under your own weight." "We evolved there. Our bones are denser, our muscles are compressed. Our cardiovascular system is built for that pressure." Min shrugged. "It is normal for us." "Show me," Jaiwu said suddenly. "Show you what?" "Your physical capabilities. Spar with me. Tomorrow morning at the training grounds." Min shook his head. "Your father forbade me from the training grounds." "I am inviting you. As an instructor, I have that right." Jaiwu's patterns showed determination. "I want to understand, please." Min studied the young Veltharn. He saw genuine curiosity there, not mockery. It was the first real interest anyone had shown in him since arriving. "One match," Min agreed, "but I do not want to cause offense." "You will cause more offense by refusing," Jaiwu said with a slight smile. The next morning, Min arrived at the training grounds. Jaiwu was waiting, already in practice armor. A few other warriors had gathered to watch, their patterns showing amusement. Word had spread that the human was going to spar. HFY was there too, standing at the edge of the practice ring. Her patterns were unreadable. Jaiwoo handed T-Min practice armor. It was designed for Veltharn bodies and fit awkwardly. The practice weapon was a staff, simple and heavy. Very heavy. T-Min lifted it easily. The watching warriors murmured. The staff was designed to be challenging even for Veltharn's strength. Begin when ready, Jaiwoo said, taking his stance. T-Min had trained in combat back on Earth, not extensively but enough for basic self-defense. He had been a diplomat, not a soldier, but he understood leverage and movement and how to read an opponent. Jaiwoo moved first, all four arms working in coordination, his staff whistling through the air. It was a testing strike, not full force. T-Min moved. In the lower gravity of the Veltharn world, his muscles, built for Earth's crushing pull, made him impossibly fast. He flowed around Jaiwoo's strike, his own staff striking twice in the span of a heartbeat. Not hard enough to injure, but hard enough to make contact. Once to Jaiwoo's knee, once to his shoulder. Jaiwoo stumbled, caught completely off guard. T-Min pressed the advantage. He moved like water, like wind, like something that should not be possible in a body so small. Each strike was controlled, calculated. He disarmed two of Jaiwoo's arms, swept his legs, and had his staff at Jaiwoo's throat before the young Veltharn could recover. The entire exchange took less than 10 seconds. Silence filled the training ground. T-Min stepped back immediately and offered Jaiwoo his hand to help him up. "I apologize. I did not mean to embarrass you." Jaiwoo took his hand, his patterns pulsing with shock and amazement. How did you move like that?" "Your gravity is low for me," T-Min said quietly. "I am stronger here than I would be on Earth. Faster, but I am not a warrior. You would defeat me easily once you adapted to my speed." He was not sure that was true, but it seemed diplomatic to say. T-Min bowed respectfully to Jaiwoo and to the watching warriors. Then he walked toward the exit, removing the practice armor as he went. He passed HFY on his way out. For the first time since their wedding, she looked directly at him. Her patterns had shifted to deep purple and silver, colors he did not recognize. Her eyes followed him until he disappeared from the training grounds. That night through his window, T-Min saw HFY training alone long after the others had left. She moved differently, more carefully, as if seeing the movements with new eyes. He wondered what she was thinking. The alarm came at dawn, 3 weeks after the sparring match. T-Min woke to the sound of sirens wailing across the city. The emergency lighting in his room had activated, casting everything in harsh red. He rushed to his window. The sky was wrong. Dark shapes moved through the clouds, too many to count. They were insectoid, enormous, their bodies covered in chitinous armor that gleamed dully in the morning light. Ships, thousands of ships. The palace shook as explosions erupted across the city. T-Min watched a nearby tower collapse in a cascade of crystal and metal. The beautiful glowing vehicles he had admired now fell from the sky like dying fireflies. Someone pounded on his door. T-Min opened it to find a palace guard, his patterns flashing panicked yellow and red. "You must come to the shelter," the guard said. "All non-combatants are ordered below ground, now." "What is happening?" T-Min asked, though he already knew. "The Krethak swarm, they are attacking the homeworld directly." The guard grabbed his arm and pulled. "Move." The corridors were chaos. Palace staff ran in every direction. Warriors rushed toward the armory, their patterns blazing with battle-ready orange and crimson. T-Min caught a glimpse of HFY in full combat armor, surrounded by her personal guard. She was shouting orders, organizing the defense. Their eyes met for just a moment. Then she was gone, running toward the sound of explosions. The guard led T-Min down, deep into the palace foundations. The shelter was a massive reinforced chamber filled with frightened civilians, mostly servants, some elderly Veltharn, a few younglings. Their patterns pulsed with fear in shades of white and pale blue. "Stay here," the guard ordered. "The warriors will protect you." Then he was gone, back to the battle above. Min stood among the frightened crowd and felt useless. Completely, utterly useless. He was a diplomat, not a fighter. He had trained for negotiations, not war. But standing here while others died felt wrong in a way that made his chest tight. An elderly Veltharn woman clutched a youngling to her chest, whispering comfort. The youngling's patterns flickered with terror. Min had seen the Krethak ships. He had studied the intelligence reports during the journey to the Veltharn homeworld. The Krethak were a hive-minded species, brutal and efficient. They consumed entire worlds, stripping them of resources. They took no prisoners, showed no mercy. If they reached this shelter, everyone here would die. The ceiling shook. Dust fell in streams. Someone screamed. Min made a decision. He pushed through the crowd to the shelter entrance. The door was sealed, but there was an emergency override. He activated it. "What are you doing?" someone shouted. "You will let them in." "I am going out," Min said. "You are mad. You are not a warrior." Min did not argue. He slipped through the door and sealed it behind him. The armory was 2 levels up. Min had passed it several times during his months in the palace. It had never been locked. Security had not considered the human a threat. The weapons inside were all designed for Veltharn physiology. The smallest rifle was still too large for Min to wield properly. But there were bladed weapons, staffs, impact weapons. He chose a pair of long knives that felt balanced in his hands. Too heavy for a Veltharn to use as throwing weapons, but perfect for his stronger grip. He took a Veltharn combat vest, cinched it tight around his smaller frame. It was not real armor, but it was something. The sounds of battle were louder now. Min followed them. The palace's upper levels were devastated. Walls had been torn open. Bodies lay in the corridors, both Veltharn and Krethak. The insected invaders were as large as the Veltharn, covered in black chitin, with multiple limbs ending in razor-sharp points. Min found the first group of Krethak tearing through a barricade. Beyond them, he could hear screaming. Civilians who had not made it to the shelter. He moved without thinking. Later, he would not remember making the decision. His body simply acted. The first Krethak died before it knew he was there. Min's knife found the joint where its head met its thorax, the weak point in its armor. The second turned toward him, mandibles clicking. Min used his momentum, his earth-trained muscles, the low gravity that made him faster than anything had the right to be. He killed it, then the next, then the next. It was not like sparring with Jai Wu. There was no control, no careful consideration. There was only survival, the oldest human instinct, written into his DNA by millions of years of running from predators and learning to run toward them instead. Min did not fight with Veltharn honor. He fought like Earth's apex predator. Ambush and strike. Use the environment, use their size against them, hamstring them and finish them while they fell. Go for the eyes, the joints, anything soft, be brutal, be efficient, be relentless. He saved the civilians behind the barricade. 15 Veltharn, huddled and terrified. They stared at him like he was something they did not recognize. Something that wore a human face but moved like a monster. "Get to the shelter," he told them. His voice sounded strange in his own ears, flat, cold. They ran. Min kept moving. He found more Krethak, killed them, found more civilians, sent them to safety. His mind had gone somewhere far away, somewhere quiet and clear. His body moved on instinct, every movement precise and necessary. He lost track of time, lost track of how many Krethak fell to his blades, lost track of the ichor that covered him head to foot. Min. He spun, blades ready. Hai-Wan stood at the end of the corridor, her armor scorched and dented. Her personal guard was with her, all of them staring at him with patterns showing shock and something like fear. Behind him lay the bodies, dozens of Krethak, scattered across the floor in positions that spoke of violent, efficient death. Min stood among them, breathing steady, his knives dripping black ichor. He realized he was smiling, not from joy, from something older and darker than joy. "You are alive," Hai-Wan said. Her voice was strange, careful. "Yes," Min said. The smile faded. He felt awareness returning, felt the distant part of his mind coming back to himself. "There were civilians. I could not leave them." "You were ordered to shelter," Hai-Wan said. "I know." Min looked down at the Krethak bodies, at his hands covered in their blood. "I am sorry I disobeyed." Hai-Wan moved closer. Her guards tensed but did not stop her. She studied the corridor, the tactical efficiency of the kills, the way Min had used narrow spaces to prevent the Krethak from surrounding him. "What are you?" she asked quietly. Min met her eyes. "I am human. We are prey that learn to hunt. We are animals that climb to the top of our food chain through violence and cooperation and refusing to die. We do not have armor or claws or venom. We have adaptability. We have endurance. We have the willingness to do whatever survival requires." His hands were shaking now. The adrenaline was fatting, leaving him cold. "We are Deathworlders," he continued. "We are kind and gentle until kindness fails, and then we are this." He gestured at the carnage around them. The palace shook again. More Krethak were coming. The battle was not over. Hai-Wan's patterns shifted to deep red and gold, the colors of determination and respect. She drew her own weapon. "Then fight with us, Deathworlder," she said. "Fight with me." Min adjusted his grip on his knives. "Where do you need me?" For the first time since their wedding, Hai-Wan smiled at him. It was a warrior's smile, fierce and approving. "Everywhere," she said. They fought together through the long day, human and Veltharn side by side. And the Krethak learned to fear the small, soft creature that killed like war itself had taken flesh. The War Council met in a fortified bunker beneath the palace. The surface battle had stabilized, but barely. The Krethak controlled half the capital city and were pushing deeper. Their ships still filled the sky, dropping more soldiers every hour. Min stood at the back of the room, trying to be invisible. He had cleaned himself as best he could, but ichor still stained his clothing. The Veltharn commanders pointedly did not look at him, though their patterns flickered with unease when he moved. Dalshik stood at the head of the table, his massive frame radiating authority despite the exhaustion in his patterns. "We are losing ground. The Krethak coordinate like a single organism. Every time we establish a defensive line, they adapt and overwhelm it." "We need more warriors," one commander said. "Recall the outer fleets." "That will take days," another argued. "We do not have days. They will overrun the capital by tomorrow." "Then we die with honor," Dalshik said grimly. "We make them pay for every meter." "No." Everyone turned. Min had spoken without meaning to, the word escaping before he could stop it. Dalshik's patterns flashed dangerous crimson. "The human speaks. How interesting. Do you have tactical advice, little diplomat?" Min should have apologized and stepped back. Instead, something in him refused. "Yes, I do." The silence was absolute. Hai-Wan stood near her father, her patterns unreadable. "The Krethak fight as one mind," Min continued, forcing himself to speak clearly. "You cannot beat them with honor tactics. You need to break their coordination." "And how would you know anything about military strategy?" Lord Quan Ho demanded. "You are a bureaucrat who got lucky killing a few soldiers in a corridor." 37, Min said quietly. "I killed 37 Krethak in 3 hours, not because I am stronger than your warriors, because I fought differently." He stepped forward to the tactical display showing the city. His hand was steadier than he expected. The Krethak hive mind needs connection points, communication nodes. They are insects. They evolved from colony species. Somewhere in their formation are coordinator units directing the swarm. This is speculation, Quan Ho said. It is basic biology, T-Min replied. On Earth, we have similar species. Ants, bees, termites. They seem chaotic, but they follow chemical signals from queens and commanders. Disrupt those signals and the colony collapses into confusion. Dalshik studied the display. Even if true, we cannot reach their command ship. It is too heavily defended. You do not need to reach the ship. You need to disrupt the ground coordinators. T-Min pointed to areas where Krethak forces seemed to concentrate. Here, here, and here. These are not strategic positions by Veltharn military standards, but they are elevated, central, protected, perfect for command nodes. Hit and run attacks, Jaiwu said suddenly from across the room. He had been listening, his patterns bright with interest. Like you did in the palace. Strike fast, kill the coordinators, disappear before the swarm reacts. Yes, T-Min said. Exactly, guerrilla warfare, you make them afraid, you make them uncertain. You attack their cohesion, not their strength. This is dishonorable, Quan Ho said. We are warriors, not assassins. You are dying warriors, T-Min said bluntly. The room went very quiet. Honor is beautiful, but the Krethak do not care about your honor. They care about consuming your world. You can die with honor or you can adapt and survive. Dalshik's patterns shifted through several colors T-Min did not recognize. Finally, they settled on deep purple edged with gold. What would you need? T-Min had not expected agreement. He scrambled mentally. A small team, volunteers who can move quietly and strike precisely. Veltharn combat doctrine favors direct confrontation. This requires the opposite, stealth, deception, hitting them where they do not expect. I volunteer, Jaiwu said immediately. No, Dalshik said, you are too valuable. Father the human is right, we are losing. Jaiwu's patterns blazed with determination. Let me try his way. Haiwan spoke for the first time. I will lead the team. Dalshik turned to his daughter. Absolutely not. You need someone of rank to legitimize this strategy, someone the warriors will follow even when the tactics feel wrong. Her patterns were steady, controlled. It should be me. Father and daughter locked eyes. Some silent communication passed between them that T-Min could not read. You will take our best warriors, Dalshik said finally, and the human will accompany you. This is his strategy. He will see it through. Over the next hour, they assembled the team. 20 Veltharn warriors, all volunteers. Jaiwu, despite his youth, was included as Haiwan's second. Quan Ho, surprisingly, also volunteered, his patterns grudgingly respectful. T-Min briefed them on Earth military tactics he barely understood himself. Asymmetric warfare, psychological operations, making the enemy fear empty shadows. Most of it he had learned from historical documentaries, not experience. But the Veltharn listened. They were desperate enough to try anything. They struck at midnight, 3 teams, hitting 3 different coordinator positions simultaneously. T-Min went with Haiwan's team. The coordinators were larger than normal Krethak, their heads grotesquely swollen with neural tissue. They stood at the center of protective circles, surrounded by warrior forms. Haiwan's team hit from 3 sides at once. T-Min had taught them to use shaped charges to create confusion, to attack sensory organs first to disorient the hive mind. The Veltharn adapted quickly, their natural combat skills enhanced by the element of surprise. They killed the coordinator and disappeared before reinforcements arrived. The surrounding Krethak forces immediately showed confusion, their movements less coordinated, more erratic. It worked. Over the next 3 days, they hit 15 coordinator positions. The Krethak began pulling back, consolidating, becoming defensive. The Veltharn military, seeing the change, pressed their advantage. Word spread through the ranks. The human had brought a new kind of warfare. Warriors began calling him Jian Xing in whispers, War Incarnate. The title felt too large, too heavy, but T-Min heard it more and more. On the fourth day, T-Min made a mistake. They were extracting from a successful raid when a Krethak patrol appeared ahead of them. The team scattered to alternate routes. T-Min and HFY took a narrow side passage. A coordinator unit was there, apparently relocated for safety. It was guarded by a dozen warriors. "Fall back," HFY ordered. But T-Min saw the opportunity. This coordinator was larger than the others, its neural structure more developed. A primary node, perhaps. Taking it down could cripple an entire sector. He moved before HFY could stop him. The Krethak reacted instantly. T-Min killed 3 before they surrounded him. He fought with everything he had, but there were too many. A blade caught his side, cutting deep. Another struck his shoulder. Then HFY was there, all 4 arms moving in a blur of violence. She fought like a storm of blades and fury, her patterns blazing pure crimson. She carved through the Krethak warriors, but more kept coming. They would not make it out. T-Min knew it with sudden, cold certainty. "Run," he gasped. "I will hold them." "No," HFY grabbed him with one arm, still fighting with the other 3. "We go together or not at all." She fought her way to the coordinator and killed it with a single strike. Then she threw something that exploded in brilliant light and smoke. In the confusion, she dragged T-Min through a maintenance tunnel he had not seen. They collapsed together in a safe room 2 blocks away. HFY sealed the door and immediately began treating his wounds with field supplies. Her patterns pulsed with angry orange and worried white. "You are an idiot," she said, her hands surprisingly gentle despite her tone. "You nearly died." "I am sorry," T-Min said. "The pain was intense, but the field medicine was working. I thought." "You thought you were invincible because you have won a few fights." She sealed the worst cut with biofoam. "You are not. You are mortal. You can die." "So can you," T-Min said. "You should have left me." HFY's patterns shifted to colors he could not name. She was quiet for a long moment. "I have misjudged you," she said finally. "Since the moment we met, I saw you as weak, lesser. I was wrong." "I am weak," T-Min said, "by Veltharn standards, but strength has many forms." She finished bandaging him. "You have shown us a kind of warfare we never imagined. You have saved countless lives with your strategies. You have fought beside us without hesitation, without complaint." Her hand lingered on his shoulder. "You are my husband," she said, "not because of political necessity, because you have earned that title through honor and courage. I have been a poor wife. I would like to do better." T-Min met her eyes, seeing her truly for the first time. Not as an obstacle or a duty, but as a person who had also been forced into this marriage, who had also made sacrifices. "I would like that too," he said quietly. Outside, the battle continued. But in that small moment, in that quiet room, something changed between them. T-Min had not slept in 5 days. The field stimulants kept him upright, kept his mind sharp, but he could feel his body beginning to fail. His hands shook when he thought no one was looking. The wounds HFY had treated ached with every movement. It did not matter. They were winning barely, and he could not stop now. The Krethak command ship hung over the capital like a dark moon, too large to seem real. It was from there that the invasion was coordinated, where the primary hive mind resided. Every ground coordinator they killed was replaced by new ones deployed from that ship. Dalshik's war council had concluded the obvious: destroy the ship and the invasion would collapse. The problem was equally obvious: the ship's defenses were impenetrable. 3 separate assault teams had tried to reach it. None had returned. "It is a suicide mission," Dalshik said, his patterns heavy with grief. "But it is our only chance. I will lead the assault myself." "No," T-Min said. He was so tired that the word came out flat, empty of emotion. "You are needed to command the ground forces. Send me." The room erupted in protest. T-Min ignored it, focusing on Dalshik. "I am expendable," he continued. "I have no command responsibilities. I understand Krethak coordination patterns better than anyone now, and I am small enough to access spaces your warriors cannot." "You can barely stand," Quan Ho said, and there was actual concern in his voice now. "You will die within minutes." "Probably," T-Min agreed, "but I might succeed first." Dalshik studied him with ancient, weary eyes. "You have proven yourself a warrior beyond anything I imagined human. I will not order you to your death." "I am not asking for orders," T-Min said. "I am volunteering." "Then I go with you." Haiwan stepped forward, her patterns blazing defiant red. "He is my husband. Where he goes, I go." "Daughter." "Do not argue, father. You taught me that duty and honor are the same thing. My duty is to the Veltharn people. My honor is bound to my husband." Her patterns softened slightly. "Let me do this." The silence stretched. Finally, Dalshik bowed his head. "Then go with my blessing and my pride." They assembled a team of 15. Jaiwu insisted on joining, as did Quan Ho. The rest were volunteers, warriors who had fought alongside T-Min in the raids. They knew his methods now, trusted them. The plan was simple because complexity would fail. A small transport would approach the command ship under the guise of a damaged Krethak vessel. They had salvaged one from the battle, patched it together enough to fly. Once aboard, they would fight to the central hive nexus and destroy it. Simple, suicidal, necessary. The transport shuddered as they approached the command ship. T-Min sat next to Haiwan, their hands clasped together. He was not sure when that had happened, only that it felt right. "If we survive," Haiwan said quietly, "I would like to start again. As if the wedding was today and we were meeting for the first time." "I would like that," T-Min said, "though you should know I am terrible at small talk." She laughed, a sound he had never heard from her before. It was beautiful. The ship docked. The team moved quickly, T-Min leading them through corridors that dripped with biological resin. The Krethak interior was a nightmare of organic and mechanical fusion, pulsing with sickly light. They encountered resistance immediately. Krethak warriors filled the corridors, summoned by silent alarms. The team fought with desperate efficiency, Veltharn's strength combined with human tactical thinking. They lost 3 warriors in the first hallway, 2 more in the second. Jaiwu took a blade to his shoulder but kept fighting, his patterns bright with determined orange. The hive nexus was deep in the ship's core, a massive chamber filled with neural tissue and crystalline structures. The primary coordinator was enormous, its consciousness spread across multiple bodies linked by pulsing organic cables. It was also heavily guarded. Dozens of Krethak warriors stood between the team and their target. "No subtlety now," T-Min said, his voice hoarse. "We go straight through." They charged. What followed was not a battle. It was a slaughter on both sides. Veltharn and Krethak fell together, the corridor becoming a charnel house. T-Min moved through it like a ghost, too tired to feel fear, too focused to feel pain. Haiwan fought beside him, protecting his weaker side, her 4 arms a constant whirl of deadly precision. When a Krethak blade came for T-Min's throat, she intercepted it with her own body. The blade tore through her shoulder armor, cutting deep. She did not stop fighting. T-Min felt something break inside him. Not his body, though that was breaking too, something deeper, some last barrier between duty and devotion. He had married her for Earth. He had respected her for her strength. But now, watching her bleed for him, he realized the truth. He loved her. Loved her courage, her pride, her fierce determination. Loved the person she had become through shared battle and mutual sacrifice. The realization gave him strength he should not have had. He tore through the remaining Krethak with inhuman fury, his blades finding vital points with surgical precision. His vision narrowed to a tunnel. His hearing faded to a dull roar. There was only forward, only the objective, only survival so he could tell HFY what he had just discovered. They reached the hive nexus. The coordinator units were massive, grotesque, beautiful in their alien complexity. T-Min set the plasma charges they had brought, his hands moving on autopilot. "Fall back," Jaiwu shouted. 30 seconds until detonation. HFY collapsed. The blood loss had finally caught up to her. T-Min grabbed her, his muscles screaming in protest. She was so much larger than him, so much heavier. It should have been impossible to carry her. He did it anyway. The Veltharn warriors fought a retreating action, holding off the Krethak reinforcements. Quan Ho covered their escape with a heavy weapon, his patterns blazing with battle joy even as wounds covered his body. They ran. The charges detonated just as they reached the transport. The ship shuddered, alarms screaming. The hive nexus exploded in a cascade of biological and mechanical failure. The transport launched on emergency power, barely escaping before the command ship began tearing itself apart. Without the central coordination, the Krethak systems fought each other, each subsystem trying to take control. They crashed more than landed in the Veltharn military zone. Medical teams rushed to meet them. T-Min refused treatment until HFY was secure, until he saw her loaded into a medical pod. Only then did he allow himself to fall. He woke 3 days later. His body was wrapped in regeneration bandages. Every part of him hurt, but it was distant pain, managed by medication. HFY sat beside his bed. Her shoulder was bandaged, but her patterns glowed healthy gold and green. "You carried me," she said softly. "I am twice your weight. You should not have been able to move me at all, let alone run with me." "I had motivation," T-Min said. His voice was rough from disuse. "The invasion is over. Without the command ship, the Krethak forces surrendered or fled. The Concordat fleets arrived yesterday to help with cleanup." She took his hand gently. "You saved us. You, a single human, saved the entire Veltharn homeworld." "We saved each other," T-Min said. "I would be dead a dozen times over without you." "My father wishes to see you when you are well." Her patterns shifted to amused orange. "He wants to formally adopt you into our family line, give you a warrior name. You are already being called Mushin by the people, god of war." T-Min closed his eyes. "I am not a god. I am just a man who refused to give up." "That is what makes you divine," HFY said. "The gods of old Veltharn legend were not all-powerful. They were beings who faced impossible odds and persevered anyway." She leaned closer. "I have been a terrible wife. I married you out of duty and treated you with contempt, but I would like the chance to be better, to know you as you truly are, not as I assumed you to be." T-Min opened his eyes and met her gaze. "I married you for Earth's survival, but somewhere in the fire and blood that changed. I do not know exactly when, but I know that when I thought you might die, it felt like my heart was being torn out." Her pattern shifted to colors he had never seen, soft and warm and vulnerable. "Start again?" she asked, echoing her words from the transport. "Yes," T-Min said. "Hello, I am T-Min of Earth. I am told I am terrible at small talk, I read too much, and I apparently have a talent for creative violence. Would you like to have dinner with me?" HFY laughed, that beautiful sound he had heard only once before. "I am HFY of the Veltharn. I am overly proud, trained in 17 fighting styles, and recently learned that my assumptions about strength were completely wrong. I would love to have dinner with you." She leaned down and pressed her forehead to his, a Veltharn gesture of deep affection. Her skin was warm against his, her patterns pulsing in rhythm with his heartbeat. "When you are healed," she whispered, "I want to learn everything about you, your world, your people, your dreams, everything I was too blind to ask before." "I want that too," T-Min said. "And I want to learn about you, Not the warrior princess everyone sees, but the person underneath. They stayed like that for a long time, two people who had been strangers, then reluctant spouses, then battle companions, now becoming something new. Something built not on obligation but on choice. Outside, the city was beginning to rebuild. The Veltharn people worked alongside human volunteers from Earth's diplomatic corps. Barriers were falling. Understanding was growing. And in a hospital room, two hearts beat in synchronization, beginning a journey neither had expected but both now desperately wanted. The marriage of obligation had become something real, something earned, something worth fighting for. And in the end, that made all the difference.